Hello and welcome to the second lecture of the topic offshore operations. This is Mohammed again. So last time we actually learned different types of um, units we actually use in offshore, different types of offshore production and exploration units. Now in this section we'll actually learn a little bit basic about the how oil and gas actually produce. We'll just go a very little touch up actually, and later on we'll actually learn more on the offshore operations. Okay, so this is the complete picture of um, oil and gas supply chain. It could be from onshore or for the offshore. Okay, so if it's from offshore, what it does, first we produce the oil and gas in here, and after that or it could actually go to the directly to the ships, and then we send it to the processing. Okay, if it's gas, it goes directly to the gas processing center. If it's liquid like a crude oil, it goes to the refineries and petrochemicals. And after we do that, okay, how we actually do that, sorry. So when you do the production, it could go directly through the pipeline, or ships can actually take it to the storage, and from there we use transmission pipelines, could be natural gas transmission pipelines or oil transmission pipelines, to send it to the gas processing unit or the refineries, and from there we use another transmission line to send it to the storage, and from the storage we use distribution lines or the trucks to distribute and send it to the end users, okay, to the gas stations like that. So there's a good complete video. Please watch it and you'll have more idea on how this oil and gas actually we manage the supply chain of it. Okay, so we're talking lots about like oil and gas, but what is it? What is oil? What is gas? How it's actually produced? So let's learn a little bit more about these things. Okay, so remember the three things. First, generation, then the migration, and then accumulation. And that's how a reservoir, oil and gas reservoir, actually form. So what is generation? So for like 300 to 400 millions of years back, we have lots of organic materials. Okay, lots of like sea creature, earth creature, or even dinosaurs we had in the land, and in the ocean we had lots of like planktons, small from tiny types of planktons to huge mammals. We have lots of different varieties, but when these species has been died, and then the salt and silts actually goes on the top, and then what's happened, the millions of years of the terraformation, then this oil and gas actually deposits. Okay, and we take out this oil and gas from there. So what's happened, like this is a kind of like the generation phase. So that's how the oil and gas actually form. Now oil and gas actually formed and created, and then what it usually do, since it's beneath the earth, it needs some it's a fluid, right? And what's the property of the fluid? The property of the fluid is it always wants to move from the bottom to the top, or like from the high pressure to the low pressure. Okay, so the bottom of the earth, it got high pressure, and at the surface it got the lower pressure. So the fluid actually wants to move. So if you actually see this, if you actually see this, 400 is too much. Um, See this picture, as you can see here, the oil and gas, they actually want to migrate and go up, okay? But what's happened during the process of migration, lots of oil and gas already has been migrated on the earth's surface, and then it has been oxidized by the oxygen and it's been depleted away. But during this time of migration, if someone actually stop it, okay, then this migration can halt it, and there what happens, this oil and gas could deposit, and those we called traps. Okay, so this is a type of traps. Anticline trap is showing in here. So traps are actually for accumulating to the oil and gas. So wherever you'll find the geological formation of traps, okay, what we'll find the accumulated oil and gas there. So as you can see, there are different types of traps are showing in here right now. Okay, so let's get the next one. So the offshore petroleum reserves, these reservoirs are formed in the same process as anywhere else at the just like the onshore, but the petroleum fluids can migrate over time and it becomes it trapped. Okay, so the petroleum become trapped in one of these four ways: one, anticlined or the fold traps; two, fault traps; three, salt dome, which is a type of anticlined traps also; and number four, the stratigraphic traps. Okay, so as you can see in this picture, the different traps. So this is the anticlined trap, so like arch. Okay, this arch is the anticlined trap. This is the fault trap. Okay, so whoever actually did the PETR2131 or planning to do will learn more about this. This is a type of salt dome. It's a type of anticline trap, but within the salt dome. And this is the stratigraphic trap. And stratigraphic trap actually work like looks like this. Okay, so we have different types of traps. Now, how we can actually drill? Okay, so these traps are actually um, mostly like non-porous rock formation or something like igneous rock, so that actually oil and gas deposit in here but cannot migrate through the top. Okay, so what we need to do, we actually need to drill the hole through this igneous rock or like this formation, and we can actually go, you can reach um, to the uh, place where the oil and gas has been deposited. Now how it's actually deposited, this is the cap rock or the trap. The oil and gas is in here. Okay, the trap is in here. So these are the oil, this is, so this is the gas, this is oil, and this is the water. So how this formation actually happened, how, why the gas is on the top, oil at the middle, and water is at the bottom? Because gas got the lowest density, so it got half, and oil and water, so water got the highest density, it actually stay at a down. Okay, so one of the type of drilling package that has been discussed last section, I brought in the location to order and try to penetrate the oil bearing formation. Okay, so this is a type. For instance, the drill ship. Okay, we have learned about the drill ships last class, so it can actually drill and get the oil out of the formation. So this depends on the type of the um, reservoir. It depends on the water depth and also the weather condition, like what types of drilling package you should use. okay, and also it's depends on many other different factors. Now this drilling package is equipped with a rig and this rig is determined by the type of reservoir and expected pressure and the volumes. Okay, so you can see the options. So this is a temporary guide base at first, TBG or temporary base guide or guide base. You can see, you know, I think mistake in here. It would be TGB. So temporary guide base is a placement, is the first step in the drilling. Okay, so this is a kind of like frame. We put in the frame and we make everything stable. And just like here, if we want to drill that, so we put a frame in here. Okay, point it out and then we start our drilling. Okay, it lower to the ocean floor and we'll spot it at the central hole. Okay, remember that. Casing. After we put the temporary base, then we put a casing. What is casing? You know, in our mobile phone, we use casing. Why we use casing? Many of us actually use another extra type of casing. So we need casing just because to save our mobile phone, okay, or a cellular phone. The work of casing is very similar to that. Casing actually helps to secure our pipelines and all other materials go inside. Okay, so a casing involves connecting the sections, typically 14 meter or 48 feet of joints of a pipe together and lowering them, okay, into the previous drill hole section. Several sizes of casings will be run during a well. Each one is smaller and run inside, like a diameter could be from 4.5 inches to 48 inches. Okay. So the casing is tied to the surface. Okay, so this casing is tied to the surface. A liner is hung to the type of the below of the wellhead. Okay, there is no physical difference between the liner, like the two, except we do not extend all the way up to the surface. Okay, so what's happened, let me explain how is the casing actually works. Sorry, for instance, we have this is the ground. Sorry, for instance, this is the ground. Okay, and we got water. This is the water line. Okay, so we got ocean here, and then we have the trap. So this is a trap. Now the first thing we need to do is a drill ship, for instance. Here we actually see a drill ship. So the drill ship would start drilling. Okay, excuse my drawing, I know it's pretty bad. So this is the drill ship. So the first thing the drill ship do, it put a base guide. Okay, it lower down a base guide in here. Okay, so this is the base guide, and then we start drilling, but before that we put a big casing. I'll just use another color for the casing, for instance this one. So we use a big casing, and what this big casing do, it protects the base, and it's a type of like a big pipe, okay, big hollow pipe. And we just take out all the waters, pump out all the waters from here. And then the next step is actually we put our pipeline. So this big casing, it's known as conductor casing. We'll learn that later more. So now we put the drill pipe, and here is the drilling pipe actually goes, and it cut the drill bit, okay, and it start drilling. So when it starts drilling, for instance, the oil and gas is somewhere in here. This is, for instance, here we get the gas, okay, we got crude oil here, and we got water in here, okay. So what's actually happened is when we start the drilling, at that time these drill pipes actually go beneath, and it will get the oil from here, right? But to protect this pipeline is really fragile and a long and expensive pipeline. What we need more protections, more base, and that is the casing does. So we have this one casing, okay, to protect it in here with the big type of casing. Now what we'll do, we'll use another casing in here, which is a little bit smaller diameter than the before, okay, and then we'll use another casing here, and finally we'll use another casing, for instance here, okay. All right, so this is a use of casing. So it's a cascading thing, okay. So at first we use the bigger one, then a little bit small, then small, and the more deeper you go, the more casing diameter would become narrow, and it will become more and more stable, right? Like it's fixed in here, so it will become more and more stable. So I get, like, now you understand. So if you have the top view from the top, okay, how the casing should look like, it would look like something like an onion, right? Like the onion formation, like this is the big conductor casing, and inside of this another one, inside of this another one, inside another, just like the Russian dolls, okay. So this is how the casing would look like from the top view, okay. So have you seen the TV antenna? You can extend the TV antenna and you can make the small, okay, TV or radio antennas. It's exactly like that, okay. Okay, it totally looks like that's this casing, because when you actually want to pull, then it can extend and it looks like that. So the base is like always like the thicker one, and the more you extend, it more become thin. Okay, clear everyone? So let's go to our lecture again, back. So exactly, now you can see how this casing actually works. So the first one, we call it conductor casing or conductor pipe. Like casing is a kind of like pipe, right? And then the surface casing. So what is the surface casing? Surface casing is something like that. So if this is the conductor, this is the surface casing, okay, and the intermediate casing, and finally like the production casing. So this is uh, the production casing, the final one. Okay, and you can actually add another one, the perforated casing. That's for a different use or different purpose. When the crude oil is very thick, we can actually put hot water or other things in here, and we can perforate it. But usually this is the case. That's a special case. So these are the types of casing. So I guess now you understand how this casing actually works. Okay, it's the top view, as I said, and this picture actually really explains well how this casing works. So the bigger one we have the conductor casing. At first the conductor casing, and when everything is stable, after that we put the surface casing and then intermediate casing, and finally the production casing. And the most important part of the casing, like each of the casing linings we put cement. Okay, so if we do not put cement, then what will happen? Cement actually works like a glue, or it's adhesive. Okay, so if you do not actually cement very well, then this casing could actually go wrong, and the whole the sea will get the waves or turbulence, or even the weight or counterweight, or even like the oil get the kicks, very very high kicks, because it's in high pressure. So if you do not cement it properly, then what could happen? There could be a disaster. Just, you probably know already, it's a huge disaster. We know all the story, the Deepwater Horizon. Okay, what was the reason? Mainly because the cementing issue. We'll learn that later. Okay, so this is about all the casing. And you can actually get, so please go to the sites and we'll learn more about the casing. So when the casing is put in there, so how actually the casing and everything it's tied up. Like for instance, I gave an example in here. So how this casing actually how this casing attached with the ship. So there is something that the casing is attached in the ship. Okay, how this attached? So this is the thing here, as you can see, the wellhead. So the wellhead is so the wellhead is connected the top of the largest string of the casing. Okay, it called a conductor, and sits inside the slots of the subsea temple. So it hang all the casings. Okay, so remember that. The drilling for the oil and gas, so one of the most important part is the blowout preventer. So in the wellhead, at the top of the wellhead, okay, we have something called blowout preventer. Why this is very important and what is that actually? Let's explain to you. As you can see in this picture, the if you done with the oil and gas drilling, okay, what is the next phase? The next phase is when the drilling is done, then you make a connection and there is a pipeline. And what's happened, for instance, what is the pressure in here? It is the atmospheric pressure. 1 second. This is the atmospheric pressure. Okay, so for instance the pressure is nearly pressure is what 1 atmosphere. Okay, but can you imagine the pressure in here? The sorry, what could be the pressure in here? Is a very very high pressure, very high pressure. It would be for instance 1,000 times than the even more. So what's happened, if the pressure is very high in here, so the fluid will move in a very high force at the top. So if you cannot stop the migration to control the migration actually, so what happen, it will totally blow up. Okay, so it will destroy the whole section and it will blow up. So that is the job of the blowout preventer, that at the top of the glazing you have a stack of valves, and this stack of valves actually stop the migration of the fluid unless we want to move it in a controlled way. Okay, so it's a very important piece of equipment that connected to the top of the wellhead. And what is that? It is a stack of valve, and it is a very important safety device. Okay, so remember that it's a very important device. Marine risers. So the marine risers are basically a type of the pipeline. Okay, that's depending on the type of installation, the riser may be constructed by the many joints like the drill ships or stuff. So the riser is the job to connect the annulus of the diverter and the flow line of the rig. So there is a video of marine risers. So watch the video; it will actually give a more better understanding of the marine riser, like what the marine risers usually do. Okay. Um, Diverter, the flow line. So diverter is it's the last piece of equipment before the annulus to return the surface, and it can be used emergency diverter. Okay, so it's also a type of safety device. So we use that in extreme case to overboard. Flow line, the mud tank. The flow line returns the drilling fluid, the storage tank where it could be, in addition to the put and back. So it's a type of the pipeline we put mud in there. Christmas tree. Christmas tree is a type of the stack of valve also. So after the drilling is completed, before the production teams come in and take over the job, we put a valve, a stack of valve. So the POPs and LMRPs will be replaced with a subsea Christmas tree. Okay, so this is the this is an example of the Christmas tree on the top onshore, but the subsea Christmas tree look like something like that. So it controls the fluid surface as well as the production, the additive to the production sting in some cases. Okay, subsea manifolds. So the manifold control the fluid from the Christmas tree. It also acts as a pump or the booster station to increase the pressure and the flow of the fluid to the surface. Okay, so this is how the subsea pipeline actually works. So here at the production line, we got the pipelines. It connects the subsea equipment to the other offshore equipments to the land or from the ocean base to the platforms. So it's not much difference to the onshore pipelines, but we take additional measures because the seawater is very highly corrosive, and also it got lots of turbulence and hydrostatic. It also got a huge hydrostatic pressure, right? So we actually use some additional extra care for designing the subsea pipeline, and especially spillage also. Okay, because if any subsea spillage happen, the consequences are very high. So that's why we always take extra measures. Producing the oil and gas, the offloading occurs when the offshore and connected by lands. So what's happened? The ship's actually coming in, and it takes the oil and gas from the platform and offload to the production of the processing facilities. Okay, that's the offloading. So the tankers usually do that. So there are some videos, a video on the deep water drilling. Please watch it. It's very important. Okay, please watch that, and you can actually see like how the drilling actually works. And there's a video on the rig. Please watch it again. what it do. And there is the oil and gas trap, the definition and the references. So if you are interested, you can go to the reference and you can actually have more understanding how these traps folds these actually works. So this is the end of our first topic. We'll have live lecture sessions, and then we'll actually get more questions from you to clarify how all of the clarify the different of your confusions. Okay, so good luck everyone, and have a nice day. Goodbye. See you at the live session.